I work for a company that creates software that's used on the internet to manage trade shows, conventions, conferences. When I first met Meraji, I was about 21 years old. I just graduated from college. Wasn't quite sure what I wanted to do with my life, but there were some unanswered questions that were perturbing me kind of on a slow boil in the background. One of them was, who am I? You know, and the other is, what is love? These are the kind of age-old questions that everyone at some point in their life asks themselves. And so at that time in my life, those questions were ripe for me. The reason that love was important for me to understand was, apart from the thirst of my own heart, I had seen so many failed marriages and failed relationships and failed attempts by people to find out what love was or to experience love in their lives. And I felt that I wasn't much different from them. If members of my family that I knew and loved were having difficulty understanding their own purpose, and I figured that I would have the same chance. I would have the same potential problem. I couldn't feel it in my heart, and if I asked myself what love was, I couldn't give it a straight answer, and it certainly I could maybe dig up some academic, intellectual expression of it, but it rang hollow to me, at least. I wanted to understand my purpose and feel love in a very visceral way, inside, where there was no debating it. It was just as clear to me as my own breathing. And that's what I was searching for. At the time, I couldn't articulate that. I just knew I felt empty. And I knew that the people around me weren't having much, luck as well. Because even in the friends that I had at college, in these late night discussions that you would have with friends, you'd ultimately get around to the question of, why are we here, or what does that have to do with my purpose for being here? And there weren't many clear answers that came from those conversations. So I was just quietly looking, and when I heard about Meraji, I thought I would check it out. I had nothing to lose. Why not listen to what he had to say? So I went, and I was fortunate enough that he was in London. I was living in London at the time when all this was going on internally, and he was visiting London, and he was staying at a household on the western suburb of the city, and I went to see him, and I was struck immediately, by not just his sincerity, but his there's something about the truthfulness of what he said, and the way that he spoke about it with such authority. He essentially said that, and I'm not quoting him exactly, but in essence he said that when you were born, there was something looking out of your eyes. When you first opened your eyes, there was something looking out of it. And it didn't know whether it was male or female. It didn't know if it was Christian or Hindu or Buddhist. It didn't know if it was Russian or American, but it was there. And as it grew up, as you grew up, then layers were put on top of it, identity, and some of it is what people tell us about ourselves, you're a boy and you're an American and all of that, and some of it we add ourselves, we construct ourselves, but all of these layers tend to obscure what's there. So he said, I can show you what's there. The same simple thing that was looking out of your eyes is still there inside of you, and you just need to find it again. It's there. I'm not adding anything to you, not taking anything away from you, just showing you what's already there underneath these layers. And if you see that, you'll understand something about yourself, and you'll understand something about love and purpose. And so I said to myself, like, how can I go wrong? You know, so I listened some more because I wanted to be clear about this thing before I embarked on it. And you know, sometime later, I asked, you know, if he could, you know, please show me these techniques, and he did the next day. And that's now, you know, decades later, and it still strikes me today, as it did, you know, decades ago, that when I practice what he showed me and I go inside, I find something there that brings me comfort. It fills me with love. It ends intellectual debates in my head about, you know, purpose and feeling, because I become immersed in an experience where the intellectualization of it just becomes irrelevant, you know. You know, if a child, you know, if the child is loving you, you don't intellectualize that, you're just immersed in that. And same thing with this experience within myself, discovering this basic thing that was me at the beginning has that same rejuvenating, fulfilling, wonderful effect. And that's what keeps me going back day after day. He suggests that we practice this every day, and to me, I do it because I love to do it, you know, because I feel different, I feel rejuvenated, and all these things that I mentioned a minute ago. So.